Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing as well as humanly possible considering the current state of things. This week marks the official end to my surgery recovery, and I wanted to film a little update video for you guys because I've been asked a lot of questions throughout the last 12 weeks of my healing, and because I've been processing and working through a lot, I feel like I haven't been able to give super straightforward or honest answers. Hopefully this video will be both straightforward and honest. I am going to try to hit on everything. Just a quick medical overview for those of you who aren't caught up. At the beginning of 2020, I had a total hysterectomy with removal of my tubes. So they took out all of my internal lady bits with the exception of my ovaries, and thus that brings us to where we are now. So starting off on the physical side of things, by far the most frequently asked question I've gotten over the past 12 weeks has been if my pain has come back at all, and I'm super happy to report that no, it has not. I am still feeling my absolute best, and I am just really incredibly blessed for that. As you guys know from my last video, my ovaries took a hot minute to begin functioning again. I did a round of hormone replacement therapy to help speed along the awakening, and since then I've stopped the HRT. I feel a lot better. I am not having any more hot flashes really, and yeah, I feel like ovaries are functioning. With that being said, I still have pretty consistent day-to-day ovarian pain, and I feel like I've never done a super good job breaking this down, so I'm going to try for just a minute to explain this. In the past, all of my chronic debilitating pain that kept me home, unable to work, unable to go to school, all that good stuff, 90% of it was uterine and cervical pain. That was the big issue that we were trying to conquer in all of my past surgeries and whatnot. 10% of my chronic pain has been ovarian, and you know, I still have my ovaries. They are still functioning, and thus I still have pretty consistent pain from that. But because I'm so used to super debilitating, horrible chronic pain, only having to deal with the 10% feels a lot more manageable for me. So although it's still pain and it's still pretty consistent, I just feel like it's a lot easier to handle. So you know, there's that, which isn't great, but I will take everything that I can get. So I'm really happy overall with how that is. I've had some issues with my liver since stopping the HRT, and I don't know if it's a hormonal issue or if it's just a long-term effect of anesthesia and my body not quite getting back into the swing of things, but I haven't been able to drink really any alcohol without getting extremely sick and throwing up afterwards. So that's been kind of a bummer and something that I haven't had to deal with in any of my past surgery recoveries, so it's been a little weird. I ended up going on a little bit of an alcohol hiatus to see if after a period of time if I could then get back into it and hopefully respond to it a little bit better. So currently I just kind of opened back the window of drinking in very small amounts, and that seems to be doing a lot better for me. I don't know what the deal with that is. I don't really care considering all that I have been given recently. It's really a small sacrifice that I am totally willing to make if it means feeling as good as I do right now. So you know, it is what it is. Now onto the mental side of things. This is where it gets a little more confusing for me. I'm still processing and working through a lot, so hopefully this will make sense. I'm going to try my best to break it down as much as I can. The two most consistent emotions that I have felt since January have been grief and joy, and that's been confusing for me because those seem like contradictory terms. Like, it feels like grief and joy are on two opposite sides of a spectrum. It's been hard for me to go through my days with both of those emotions being as closely intertwined as they are to one another. I feel guilty for grieving because I've been given so much, and I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart more than anything. And then I feel guilty for being joyful because there's a lot that I am grieving and working through, and a lot of loss that I'm still processing. So it feels weird to constantly be switching back and forth between the two. This is probably a really normal process, but it's just one of those things that prior to having the surgery I wasn't anticipating as a possibility, and so it's just taken me a little while to kind of figure that out and remind myself that all of my emotions that I'm feeling are valid. That's kind of been my mantra throughout this entire process, was all the grief, all the loss, all the hope and excitement and joy, they all have their reason for being present. And so in my endeavors to try to process and work through this stuff in a super healthy manner, I have just been very intentional in making sure that I am feeling all of my emotions, and what needs to be worked through, I'm working through them. And so if that means being sad for a day and crying and feeling bad for myself, then I'll give myself a day to do that. And then, you know, when I'm joyful, ride that joy as long as humanly possible. I've gone to quite a few therapy sessions since my surgery, and me and my therapist kind of came to the conclusion together that the past few years, while I was dealing with all the medical stuff, they were highly traumatic. I don't think I was aware of that as I was going through it, because I was so focused on surviving and getting through it, as one does when enduring trauma. So now that I feel like I'm kind of on the other side of things and I'm figuring out how to move forward with my life, it has come with some obstacles of like PTSD and just the general aftermath of what all of those years consisted of. So trauma and PTSD, not super fun stuff, but I'm pretty familiar with the process of working through trauma and, you know, the timeline and how long that can take to fully heal. So I'm just being very patient with myself and very giving to myself, as far as giving myself what I need and taking care of myself and allowing myself to feel the emotions and then put them away or set them to the side and, you know, focus on something else. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on things, considering, which I'm very grateful for. There have been two things that I have used a lot as a way to help in my recovery. One of those has been drawing, because it gives me the opportunity still to sort through some hard and sometimes gross emotions. By the end of it, I feel super productive and accomplished because I have a finished project of sorts, but I also feel productive and accomplished in my mental state as well, because I feel like I have actively worked through something that otherwise might have just stayed in here, which isn't good. I've also, for the first time in my life, been working out, and before the whole pandemic was a thing, I was going to the gym every single day. Working out has been especially beneficial because since my surgery, I have struggled a lot with feeling really disconnected from my body, and this might not make sense to those watching who have all of their body parts, but there's just like this particular feeling of loss that you obviously go through when losing a physical part of yourself, and in turn that just creates like just a disconnect between body and mind. This is really hard to explain and it's kind of giving me anxiety, but basically my body just feels like really unfamiliar and I don't really know what I'm doing inside myself. So going back to fitness, that's kind of been the one thing that I can do to kind of join mind and body back together again. So it's been really good. I'm really grateful for it because I had never had an appreciation for working out prior to this. So it's really exciting to be picking up new hobbies now that I am able to physically do stuff. Also, another thing to add on now that we're kind of to the end of things is I've noticed such an increase in my creativity since surgery. A lot of you guys might not know this because at this point it's been a few years, but I'm a writer, and at one point my social media was strictly just me writing and sharing my work with everybody, and once all the health stuff started, I stopped writing and I just didn't feel like it was something I could do anymore. There was no drive to do it, there was no inspiration to do it. When I was doing it, it was strictly because I was forcing myself to, and it's just not the same. And I've always wondered why that was, and it kind of stirred up like a little bit of an identity crisis in myself, because for so long I have been a writer and I felt like I lost that part of myself, which was really, really hard. But since surgery, and especially because I now have so many emotions and stuff that I am trying to work through, I feel like I've just been given everything back that I have been lacking and I've been so desperately needing in order to put that into my writing. And yeah, I'm writing again. So now that I am writing quite a bit, I might throw some stuff out there on social media. I don't know yet, because at this point it feels really weird to put my feelings out there for people to consume, but I might anyways, just because it really is like a huge part of my life, and I'm just really grateful to feel like I've been given that back. So that's how I'm doing. Overall, really great, but there are obviously some obstacles that I am still going through, none of which I am super intimidated by or am feeling really discouraged with. I feel 100% capable of continuing to work through all this and just continue to move on with my life. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me throughout this entire process. It has been a bumpy road for sure, but I am really glad to feel like I'm kind of getting through it and on to better things now. It's what I've been wanting all along. So I know I haven't been super present here on YouTube, and it's for a couple different reasons. I do have a few video ideas that hopefully I will find the inspiration and energy to do in the next couple weeks, but yeah, thank you guys for just like hanging around anyways and listening to me whenever I decide to sit down and film something, because it is a good outlet as well for me to kind of sort through stuff. So yeah, hopefully this kind of answers all of the questions and concerns that you guys have had about how I am doing right now. This is about as straightforward and honest as I can get, so hopefully it was what you were searching for. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!